I mean, talk about disrespect. They bring in Tyler Huntley for the final 2-minute drive. And I'm not saying it was disrespectful to Shedeur. It just was weird that they played Tyler Huntley. Like, why bother? I'm not going to have a monster take, but just why bother? But if you're going to bring in Tyler Huntley and he's going to drive you down the field for the game-winning field goal, can you not cut him the next day? You knew you were going to cut him the next day, so why? That's stupid. The whole thing was stupid.
I hate to even look at the tinfoil hat that's getting dust in the corner of this room. But I am going to reach for it at this point because I was at the game. And when I tell you that for a preseason game, a lot of people hung around to watch Shedeur Sanders play.
I'm sure
there were more people in that stadium in the third and fourth quarter of a preseason game than I've seen in 2 decades of being at that stadium. And I was like, wow, they're really excited to watch him. At one point after his first bad drive, he ran down to the dog pound to get those fans riled up before he went out there again. And I'm like, oh, that's not going to age well if it's anything like the first drive. And the drive was even worse. So my tinfoil hat conspiracy of the week is Kevin Stefanski got so frustrated with how bad the offense looked with Shedeur at quarterback that he put Tyler Huntley in there and said, I know he's going to get the ball out on time and not hang on to it forever, and he's going to get us possibly in range for a field goal to win this game, even though it doesn't matter, proving a point by doing that. I think it was that and nothing more.
I agree. I also think the outrage it's all stupid. The whole thing is stupid. We're talking about 2 mid-round rookies trying to battle to be backups. Shedeur's a 5th-round pick, and he had as bad a game as you could possibly have, and there are contextual reasons for it, and it's not the end of the world. Joe Flacco said after the game, I just told him, like, everyone's had those sort of games, and it's true. But it was that disastrous of a game. Shedeur was sacked 5 times. He threw 6 passes. They had negative 27 yards on his 14 dropbacks. He was lost in this game, and yeah, he was playing with a bunch of players that weren't on the roster by like the end of the weekend. So that all is to be taken into account. But I do think we can have takeaways, not just from this game, but from the arc of the preseason and camp, which is that based on all reporting, like Shedeur got more reps than any 4th-string quarterback in history at practice, and he looked really good for the most part at practice. So he kept getting more and more. And Dillon Gabriel, Nick, started slow, but sometime after he came back from that injury, I don't know if the practices were better. I think they were better, but the games were great. Like, He looked great in the games. I would have given him a B+ for his first appearance in the preseason, and I'd give him an A- for this one.
Yeah.
So, he just looked better. And so he's got to be the first one off the bench, I think, assuming it's not Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, folks are like, oh, after the Carolina game, I can't believe Shedeur is still 4th on the depth chart. Well, now that the preseason is concluded, you see why the depth chart is what it is, which is that Dillon Gabriel came out in 2 games and handled the job as pretty much as well as you can. He made the mistake on the pick 6 against Philadelphia, but I think in total, he probably made 3 or 4 decisions where you're just like, oh, that was a flat out bad decision that you need to learn from. There was another one where he was scrambling to his left in the red zone, and he basically had a clear path to the end zone, if not close to the goal line.
Yes.
And decided to fire it into traffic, and it looked a lot like the throw that he attempted against Philadelphia that was picked off by Andrew Makuba. So, and that happened right in front of me, and I'm like, oh no, he did it again. Like, just run. Those are the things you learn from. But as the way I describe him, I had somebody behind me asking the questions like, how do you think this is going to shake out? And I was like, this is how it's going to go. They're going to go with Joe Flacco. If Kenny Pickett's on the team, he'll be the backup. And then it's going to be Gabriel. And then it's going to be Shedeur. And I think at some point you're going to see all 4 if Pickett's on the team, just because history says the Browns play a lot of quarterbacks over the course of the season. And I think that Gabriel in 2 games has done, he's been a game manager who has not taken any shots downfield. And I don't know if he's capable of doing it, but I don't think Kevin Stefanski wants that in a quarterback, especially a young quarterback. He wants somebody who's going to manage the offense and execute it as he wants it executed. I think Gabriel checked all those boxes. It's just that he's got a lower ceiling. Shedeur had that great game in Carolina, really bad game against the Rams, and didn't play in Philadelphia because he was dealing with an oblique injury. So the picture is a little bit more unclear. But again, this isn't somebody that you were going to expect to be on the field in week 1. So it's fine. He's a young guy who needs time to learn. Let it just be that and not some conspiracy that they're sabotaging him, because they're not.
Kenny Pickett is still on this roster. He's reportedly getting healthier. Look, if the Raiders want to send them some sort of pick for Kenny Pickett, they might just be like, okay, that's fine. Because Gabriel maybe showed enough to think, okay, he could just be our backup. I think he'd be ready at least to be a backup. I thought he got through his reads quickly. Like there was an opposite hash throw to the out, which was great. People get on him for his arm strength, and I'm sure he doesn't have like the cannon down the field, but he has more than enough to play at the NFL level. Like he was processing and going through his reads, like I said, pretty fast. So
he was decisive. The height thing is going to be an issue. I saw one ball that he had, I think it was DeLarvadain, where he got blasted in the back by a defender, where it got deflected at the line, and that's why it was off target and why his receiver got hit. And I think that's going to continue to be an issue, but he is mobile enough to roll him out if you have to. So yeah, I agree with you.
One thing I clocked, which is interesting, Zach Jackson has a podcast on the Browns, and he said, considering the amount of outrageously good throws Shedeur made throughout camp, he wondered what else is going on for Shedeur to not get higher on the depth chart and more opportunities. Just kind of an interesting blind item. When that comes from a beat reporter, I don't know what he meant, but I found it interesting.